Today we're looking at the surface area of pyramids and cones. So your essential question is, how do I find the surface area of pyramids and cones? Your learning intention. I'm learning to find the surface area of solid figures. You've got two warm-up questions. You've got the triangular prism and you've got the cylinder. Pause the video and see if you can find those surface areas now. Well, I do hope you tried. So if we're looking at surface area, it's 2 times your base area plus your perimeter times your height. This is a triangular prism, so my base area is a triangle, and that is base times height divided by 2. So if we're looking at the picture, we know the base of the triangle, but we don't know that height. How will we find that height? If you look hard, you will see that that altitude divides the triangle into two congruent, in this case it's congruent because it's isosceles, two congruent right triangles. And if we've got right triangles, whose theorem can we use? The Pythagorean is correct. If the whole thing is 10, this piece is 5. This is my height. This is my hypotenuse. So x squared is equal to 13 squared minus 5 squared. I've got my hypotenuse. I'm looking for a leg. The opposite of squaring is square rooting. (13 squared minus 5 squared), and I end up with 12. So x, which is my height, is equal to 12. So putting it all together, my base area is equal to 10 times 12 divided in 2. Half of 120 is 60, and that will be millimeters squared. Okay, we still need to find the perimeter, and it's the perimeter of the triangle. So I've got 13 plus 13 plus 10. 26 plus 10 is 36, and that will be millimeters. The last thing I need is the height of the pyramid or prism itself. So the h is 14. Now here's my formula. Let's put it all together. So my surface area is 2 times my base, 2 times 60, plus my perimeter, 36, times my height, which is 14. Two times 60 plus 36 times 14, and you get 624. And this will be millimeters squared. Okay, and that brings us down to our cylinder. If you're looking at a cylinder, what kind of base do you have? You have a circle. So the base, the area of the base is pi r squared. So if I'm looking, this is my diameter, it goes all the way across. My radius is half of that diameter. So my radius is 2. My radius is half the diameter. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So this is pi times 7 squared, which is 49 pi. My perimeter is the circumference of that circle. Since we've got the diameter, we can use the formula pi d. Our diameter is 14, so it's pi times 14, or simply 14 pi. The last thing we need is our height. The height of that cylinder. And that is 16. Let's put it all together. My surface area is 2 times 49 pi plus 14 pi times 16. Okay, 2 times 49, if it was 2 times 50, it'd be 100, but this is 2 less, so this would be 98 pi plus 14 times 16. I'm not going to do that one in my head. 224 pi, and 98 plus 224, and you end up with 322 pi, and that would be centimeters squared. Remember, you always have to add your units. Okay, now this brings us down to the surface area of a pyramid or cone. The surface area of a pyramid or cone is found exactly the same way. You've only got one base, so it's your base area times 1/2 of your perimeter times your slant height. But what is the slant height? The slant height is the height of the lateral face of a right pyramid or the height or the lateral surface of a cone. And then your surface area is your base area plus 1/2 of your perimeter times that slant height. You use a cursive L for and a lowercase cursive L for the slant height. So if we're going to find the surface area of the following, this slant height is the one that comes down from the point, and this is your one of your lateral faces, which is a triangle. So it's the height of that triangle. So the base is a rectangle. So you would take 8 times 8, actually it's a square, which gives you 64, and that would be inches squared. For our perimeter, your perimeter, you've got a side length of 8, but you've only got 4 sides, so that is 32 inches. then that slant height is given to you at 16 feet. I guess everything here is supposed to be in feet. So I should be using feet instead of inches. Now let's put it all together. Surface area is equal to 64 plus 1/2 of 32 times 16. Instead of using 1/2 in my calculator, I will use the decimal equivalent, which is 0.5. So 64 plus 0.5 times 32 times 16. And you get 320. So the surface area is 320 feet squared. That is where the L is. Okay, for the next one, pause the video and see if you can figure it out on your own. Remember that surface area is your base area plus 1/2 of your perimeter times your slant height. Can you figure out what the base area is, what the perimeter is, and what the slant height is? Once again, the base is a rectangle. So that's 4 times 4, which is 16 inches squared. Your perimeter, 4 inches per side times the four sides that you have, and you get 16 once again. But this is simply 16 inches. Your slant height, 6.3. Putting it all together, 16 plus 1/2 of 16 times 6.3. Putting it in your calculator, 66.4. And that will be inches squared. Okay, looking at the next picture, what is wrong with that picture? Well, what's wrong is the fact that we do not have the slant height. We have the height of the whole pyramid. How do we find the slant height? Because our slant height will be coming down this edge. It'll be at a right angle here. So how do we find it? Well, we can actually use Pythagorean's theorem. If we pull that out and look at it, this is 9. Okay, half of 7 would be 3.5. What we're looking for is the hypotenuse. So to find your L, you're going to take the square root of 9 squared plus 3.5 squared. And you end up with 9.6566. That's about 9.66. Okay, so I've got my slant heights. What is the area of my base? My base is a rectangle. 6 times 7, which is 42 miles squared. My perimeter, 6 plus 7 plus 6 plus 7. 13 plus 13 is 26 miles. Putting it all together, (42) plus 1/2 of 9.66 times 26. Calculator. 42 plus 0.5 times 9.66 times 26. And we get 167.58. So my surface area is approximately 167.6 miles squared. Okay, the cones are the same. If you know the slant heights, you just plug and chug. If you don't know the slant height, then you've got to use Pythagorean's theorem, because the height of the cone creates a right triangle between the base and the edge. So on the first one, we know our slant height. The base is a circle, so that is pi r squared. R is 5. Pi times 5 squared, which is 25 pi. For my perimeter, it is 2 pi r, because that's your circumference. So it's 2 pi times 5, and this is 10 pi. We've identified our slant height. Let's put it all together now. Your surface area is 25 pi plus 1/2 of 10 pi times 18. Okay, surface area is equal to 25 pi plus 180 divided in half would be 90 pi. So my surface area is equal to 90 plus 25 pi, which is 115 pi centimeters squared. My surface area is approximately, so I'm going to type in 115 pi. Your pi button is right here above your caret in blue, so I hit my second, that upside down caret, and I get 115 pi, which is approximately 361.3 centimeters squared. Okay, for the next one, we do not have our slant height. But we do know that we can use the Pythagorean theorem. If this whole thing is 18, my radius is 9. I've got 2 legs of my right triangle. I'm looking for the hypotenuse. So L is equal to the square root of 9 squared plus 18 squared. Square root of 9 squared plus 18 squared. And I get 20.12. Okay, now, base area is that pi r squared which is pi times 9 squared, or 81 pi. For I've got my slant height, now my circumference. My perimeter is pi d, which is 18 pi. Putting it all together, 81 pi plus 1/2 of 18 pi times 20.12. Okay, 0.5 times 18 times 20.12 gives me 181.08. That is such a small amount that I am going to round it to 181. So my surface area is about equal to 81 pi plus 181 pi (81 plus 181) you end up with 262 pi, and that would be miles squared. If I multiply, by pi, my surface area is approximately 823.3 miles squared. So, if you do not have your slant height, you use Pythagorean's theorem. You know you're successful when you can find the surface area of any figure. This time our surface area is my base area plus 1/2 my perimeter times my slant height.